All right, so I'll be going over two questions, question 19 and question 25. So question 19, the question gives you the function of h of t with negative 16t squared plus b. All right, and then the question says h estimates an object's height, t is about the time, and b is a constant. All right, so if you look carefully at the function given, it's a quadratic, and let's keep reading the question. The function estimates that the object is 3,360 feet above the ground when it is dropped at t equals 0. All right, so what this question gives us that the first coordinate when t equals 0 is 3,336. So we could conclude that, the question is giving us a coordinate that corresponds to the function. So what we need to do first is to find the b, which is the constant in this function. How? By plugging in the coordinate given. All right, so if you plug that in, you'll figure out that b equal to 3,364. Well, because when you plug in t equals 0, this part just becomes 0. And then h of t is 3,364. So b will equal to 3,364. All right, so now we got a new function. We'll complete the function of h of t equals to negative 16t squared plus 3,364. All right, and the question says, approximately how many seconds after being dropped does the function estimate the object will hit the ground? All right, so here's what we need to understand this question. So what does it mean by hitting the ground? So if you look carefully over the question again, the h estimates the object's height above the ground. All right, so from this we can conclude that when the ball hits the ground, the height will be 0. So what we need to do is assume that h equal to 0. Then we'll get the equation 0 equal to negative 16t squared plus 3,364. All right, so this is a very typical quadratic equation. So all we need to do is solve this quadratic equation to find out the t value. I'll skip the calculation for now, since this is just an introduction. And for 25, all right, so let's take a look at the question too. So if you look carefully at the question, 25, yes. So this is a question, so it looks like a quadratic because we do see x squared with x and with a y. However, we also see a y squared. Right, so whenever we see x squared with the y squared together in SAT, we should first realize that it's a question about circles. Right, then let's do the question. In the xy plane, the graph of the given equation is a circle. All right, so the question says a circle. What is the length of the circle's radius? All right, so this is a very easy question. So we should know that the circle's equation is x minus a squared plus y minus b squared plus equal to r squared. So what we need to be careful is that for a function of circle, we should never have any coefficient in front of either x or y, or even in front of the parenthesis where of x minus a squared or y minus b squared. So it has to be exactly look like this. So what we need to do, so if you compare this to equation, they do not look similar at all, except that they both have x squared and y squared with the x and y. So what we need to do first is we move all of the terms with the variable to one side. So in other words, we have to move this 6y to the left side. So how do we do that? Subtract by 6y on both sides. So we'll get x squared plus 14x plus y squared minus 6y, and it equals to 109. All right, so let's compare this two forms. So, some of you might have figured out that this one looks like one of the quadratic formulas or one of the quadratic equations where we says the vertex form, right? So x minus a squared, where this is in the standard form. So what we need to do now is we need to use the technique of completing the square. So if you do the completing the square, you'll figure out that this one will be x plus 7 squared plus y minus 3 squared. Alright, so, but this is not the end, because if you compare this x plus 7 squared with the original form, which is x squared plus 14x, if you expand this bracket, you will have a plus 49 at the end, which is an extra compared to the original form. So what we need to do, we need to subtract it to make it exactly the same as the original function given. And next, also for here, we also have a plus 9 at the end, so we have to also subtract by 9. So this equals to 109, and then if you move this 2 to the other side, let's see, 58, and then we'll get this thing equal to 167. And then 167 is the value of r squared, so our r will be square root of 167. Oh, and by the way, the a and b here stands for, so a comma b will be the origin of the circle, or what we say a center of the circle, and r here stands for the radius of the circle. Okay, so this is what we're going to cover in SAT classes. So yes, that's it for the introduction. Thanks for listening. Thank you.